بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الخلق أجمعين الصادق الأمين شفيع يوم الدين. As we did last time, I can say that we finished within the previous lectures the most important elements or parts of drama and dramaturgy, all the components connected with the introduction, related to the meaning, to the discussion, to the definitions also, with examples about drama and its components, its elements, okay, and its importance also. Today, we shall, in the second part, inshallah ta'ala, we start with the first example of appreciating drama, to deal with one example. This example we need to realize, we need also to understand all those elements, starting from the glossary of literary terms connected with drama, related to drama. How can we apply them? How can we understand them? How can we use them also within this play? The first play, as you read with me, Oedipus the King, one of the interesting Greek plays, famous, has wisdom, or say wisdoms, not only one wisdom, but wisdoms can be achieved, can be understood within this play. We don't want these wisdoms from the play as drama, but we have another purpose. We have a great purpose. This purpose is language, English language. We need through literature, as we understand, after understanding creativity and drama, advantages of drama, how can we increase our background of the language, which is English, through literature and particularly drama in our study? So we have Oedipus the King. Oedipus the King is written, or was written in fact, by Sophocles, one of the great, what you call, figures, literary figures of ancient Greek and Yunan. To start with ideas about the literary work. This play, its history, what we know about the history of the play can be done now. It's a play in Oedipus, done, talk about Oedipus. What is Oedipus? If you realize, Oedipus is the city in which the play took place or produced in. The play was produced in that time. So a play set in Oedipus during the 13th century BCE, again BCE. What we understand, it is before Christ. Within what? Within 13th century, 13 centuries. First performed between 429 and 425. So the time is getting down from 29 into 25s because it is before Christ's birth. So the time is from large to less or fewer. What is the synopsis of the play? What is the summary of the play, or the abridgment to connect the play in its ancient atmosphere within modernity? What can we say? Through reading the first lines, we can realize, in fulfillment of a divine prophecy, Oedipus, the ruler of Thebes, fall from the height of success and power to a position, a staggering misfortune and misery. In this first sentence, we realize on the prophecy. Okay, what is prophecy? Nubuwah. Of course, we know and we realize, we understand the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is a prophet because he get the prophecy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Jibreel, okay, or directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here, the idea is similar, but defined we cannot say it is the same as we have in Islam. Just the meaning, just the word, just the understanding. Okay, so fulfillment of a divine prophecy about Oedipus. What is the problem of Oedipus? Yeah, we have to realize. Another important point we need to realize is that Oedipus falls from the highest of success after becoming a king or an emperor with great success and power in his position to reach misfortune and misery. Reaching misfortune or misery. So, I mean, this what is the prophecy says. As you see here we have, just imagine, I'm not sure, but imagine pictures of Oedipus here. Talking about the play, historically, okay, according to the recordings we have about the play, we can say the writer Sophocles was born at Colonus, a city just a mile outside Athens. So we have Thebes, we have Colonus, we have Athens. What we realize best for us now is Athens, Athena. And Sophocles was born in 1496. 1496. I mean, the dates are important to be realized. The son of a wealthy family, he was raised with every possible educational and social advantages. Okay, all those educational and social advantages. We have to realize them hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, tens of centuries ago, not today, not with the atmosphere we have today. How was it exactly? I mean, we are not sure. At the age of 16, when he was 16, he made his debut in the theater, or introduction to theater, by performing in a chorus that celebrated an Athenian victory. Of course, if there is a victory for a country, for a nation, they make what ceremonies, festivals, okay, activities. Okay. At Salamis, a place, a name of a place. And soon after that, he began composing original poems and songs. Started the craft of writing, composing, but not only plays, songs and poems and songs. We realize from that, even Oedipus the king, when we read some part of it, we realize that it is a poetic drama. The nature of the language itself is what is poetic. The language is poetic. Okay, so we realize now that Sophocles is a dramatist or playwright. At the same time, he is a poet, a writer, a good writer in this case, a literary figure. Sophocles entered his first dramatic composition at the age of 28. After he became 28 years old, he started producing his first play, his first drama, where he took top prize over Aeschylus. Since that, we talk about competition. Writing the play, his first play, as a result of competition, a challenge, a literary challenge to produce, and he won the competition. Okay, the greatest rival to him is what? Is Aeschylus, another important literary figure of Greece in that time, in ancient times, who was then considered the reigning master of tragedy. We can say that Sophocles considered the crown, the king, let's say, master of tragedy, the reigning master of tragedy, the person of a top rank, but in tragedy. And Oedipus the king is one of the greatest tragedies in the world. I mean, if we read it with feeling, with participation, we realize something great emotionally in ourselves, inside ourselves. Apart from his dramatic interests, Sophocles was quite civic-minded. I mean, he is educational and connected with the civilization happening or aspects of civil sides in the city, in Thebes, not like a villager, okay, or a rural person, civilized man with civilization and civilized mind. He held a variety of political and military offices in his lifetime. Okay, we stop here to increase our background about the writer, about Sophocles. When I ask you a question in the exams, okay, talk about the dramatist Sophocles. What you know about the dramatist Sophocles? Part of what you mentioned, telling that mainly, chiefly, that he is a dramatist, a playwright, and also a poet, a dramatist, a poet, and has, okay, in real life, political and military offices in his lifetime. So he was a man of power, okay, including appointments of embassies. Okay, what we know about embassies, we have again to realize the ancient time. Imagine the setting, imagine the situation according to thousands of years. Okay, embassies, when we say ambassador, he was an ambassador. Ambassador is not like the ambassador now or today with such political events. No, the ambassador in that time has a mission, a specific mission to be done within the countries, within the places, within the tribes, okay, like that. Person is an ambassador to solve a problem between two sides, countries, villages, towns, okay, tribes, clans, or similar like that. Appointments to embassies are positioned as an official or of a religious organization. Yes, one of the ideas we realized that it was a religious concept. The embassy here as an ambassador for what? For a religious purpose, to solve a problem, and this problem has a good relationship concerning religion. And two, generalship, one under Pericles and one under Nicias, like governors or kings, emperors, something similar to that. Sophocles' long life of 90 years. 90 years. He lived very long, 90 years span. The Peloponnesian War. Peloponnesian War. So he witnessed this war. What we know about it, in fact, it is ancient and not within our culture. We have little of it. But through reading, we can realize that Athens corresponding rise and fall. Beside this war, he witnessed also the rise and fall of Athens as a great empire. Athens, it was a great empire, then through or because of war or wars, okay, fall down within the catastrophic result of war. For example, war is the main idea. Here we have little ideas about this Peloponnesian War. To tell that it was a war fought in ancient Greece between Athens and Sparta, between two empires between two big cities, and probably these two big cities, they were what? They were empires. Athens, now we know that it is the capital of Greece. And Sparta is a city, country, empire in ancient Greece. Yeah. And I think you may come across, you have read about, or you have watched even a movie, an ancient play done into a movie recently. It is called Troy and Sparta. Troy and Sparta. In this activity, within Troy and Sparta, a war took place between the nation of Sparta and Troy in comparing with Athens. The reason was a woman, Helen of Sparta, which fled away with the prince Paris, and after the husband prince of Sparta knew that his wife was kidnapped or fled away, kidnapped or fled away by herself. Nobody knows. Within this Prince Paris, he, with his governor, elder brother, decided to what? To defeat Troy, to take Troy, and they shipped thousands of ships and thousands of people, of soldiers. Within this war, as we watch in the movie called Troy or حصان دروادة إذا سمعتوا عنها, thousands of ships were destroyed. And of course, if thousands of ships were destroyed, burned, people also, and more than just thousands, hundreds of thousands in this case, we can say. Easily we can say it is true. Okay? So the most powerful city status in ancient Greece at that time, the two cities, Athens and Sparta. The time is here, as we mentioned, from higher to lower, from good amount, a large amount into less than 431 until 405, going back, opposite of what we have today. This war shifted power from Athens into Sparta. What we realized, we realized that Sparta won the battle against Athens, making Sparta the most powerful city-state in that region. When we say city-state, it is a city, and also it is what? It is a country, a kingdom, an empire. All these are what? Are accepted and correct. He, meanwhile, is credited with what? With writing of, 123 plays. Poesy, Sophocles. Only 7 of which have survived intact. The remaining plays, intact or sound or complete, from 123, only what? 7. And look to the amount of plays expected that he wrote. Okay, expected that he wrote. I mean, some people, they can imagine, they can say, they can debate that maybe the number is not accurate, but records mentions that, or some parts, fragments of what of the plays remains, but still not recorded officially, not documented. We can say that. Okay, we depend on what we have of ideas. So these plays are widely considered perfectly structured dramatic masterpieces. Not to forget to realize the importance of this sentence. This sentence is important. Sophocles, meanwhile, is credited with writing 123 plays. Only 7 which have survived intact. Why it is important? Telling you that it might be a set of a question. So again, these plays are widely considered perfect structured dramatic masterpieces. Like Shakespeare, all the plays of Shakespeare, which you are going to study, inshallah, in the coming courses, especially in Elizabethan drama or 16th century drama, I'm sure that you will study one of his plays. He wrote more than 30 plays. All of them, each and every, are what? Are great plays. All of them, we can say that they are perfectly structured dramatic masterpieces. Those of Shakespeare, as also was, as we say, those of Sophocles. The strategies included Antigone, one famous play. Also in literature and its times, question inexorable forces of fate, like our play. Oedipus the King depends in a good part with fate and destiny. When we deal with themes, we have to realize that. Fame has a great fortune, has a great position in what? In this play. That frustrate humanity best laid plans, or humanity's, let's say, humanity's best laid plans, and the justness of a cosmos that allows individuals and cities to experience undeserved reversals of fortune. While it too deals with such universal issue, Oedipus the King, when we mention Oedipus the King with italics, with the letters to be italics, we talk in this case about what? We talk about the play in general, not about Oedipus the person or the character. Oedipus the King is simultaneously a response to exceptional changes experienced by Athens during Sophocles' time. It is a picture expected when Oedipus, this character, Oedipus the King, realizes the problem he has involved in, he has done, but unfortunately without his knowing, and he doesn't know what he has done. He committed some, let's say, unimaginative actions. But when we realize that, we can say that he is not guilty because he has no idea or he doesn't know what he has done. Imagine, just to imagine, a person kills his father and marries his mother. Is it reasonable? Of course, no. But it happened in our story, in our mythological story. So now we move to events in history at the time the play takes place. The ancient city of Thebes, I heard it Thebes, and we read it as Thebes. Okay, let's make sure of the pronunciation or articulation of the name. But what ideas can we get about this city in which this play took place? Again, another pictures about the city, expected pictures, modern picture and ancient one. This is ancient, and here is new. It can be modern, and these are the traces of the city, a sort of forts. Okay, a fort or forts available until today. And as you know, Al-Baha region is full with ancient forts. الحصون المنيعة المعروفة ولأغراض متعددة مليئة منطقة الباحة بهذه الجماليات. Okay, what ideas can we realize, can we understand, can we achieve from the concept of this city, Thebes. The myth of the house of Oedipus, upon which Sophocles' play is based, take place in Thebes in the 13th century BCE, as we mentioned, before Christ. Thebes was a dominant city of Boeotia, Central Greece. It's located in the center of Greece, located in the region's eastern part. The city had its own acropolis or fortress, which stood on a plateau overlooking the lower city, with portions of the rivers Dyers and Isthmus on either sides. We can compare it like Baghdad, okay, which is located on two rivers, Hijla and Al-Furat, and this one is located, or its position is on two rivers, Dyers and Isthmus, on both sides. Thebes had an especially rich mythology. It was said to have been founded by Cadmus, an emperor, a famous person, a ruler who arrived there from Phoenicia. According to the mythology, as we said, or legendary, al-Ustura, he used dragon's teeth to sow harvest of splendid, several of which were said to be the ancestors of the Theban aristocracy, yes, of Theban aristocracy. The play Oedipus the King takes place during the Bronze Age. Bronze Age, it means very ancient, very old one. Takes place during the Bronze Age. As we know, through classification of the ages, the Stony Age, the Bronze Age, al-Asr al-Bronzi. I mean, why this division or classification? In fact, I have no idea. And what we have the Golden Age now, maybe. Anyway, the names are not of great concerns to us. At which time Thebes rivaled Mycenae, a place, a city with great competition. Competition means, as you know, تنافس على مستوى الاقتصاد أو على مستوى التجارة, this or that, or politics also, as the dominant city of the all Greece, of the city, of the country of all Greece. Another picture we can realize on the city here. Thebes' success during the period is attributed to the richness of its soil. When we mention soil, we can realize something. What is this something? That the city or the country is agricultural, because the richness of its soil. It is good in producing agriculture with all its various types, and its geographic location, which gave it access to a variety of routes between Attica and Central Greece locations. Archaeological evidence indicates, however, beside that by the end of the Bronze Age, the center of the city had been sacked, burned, and abandoned. What a problem, what a catastrophe happened to it. To be sacked, burned, after that, what? Abandoned. People left. No one, lives in. And Thebes never regained its former glory again. Never. This taken from a source by Grant. Sophocles may have intended the setting to have particular resonance, reaction or echoes for his audience, who probably saw 5th century Thebes in that time a frequent military enemy of Athens, merely as a city in decline. Those people who attended the time realized the sort of decline of the city when the city was fall. His audience, the audience purposely done by Sophocles, would be reminded by the place setting that Thebes too had a golden age. Before it has a golden age, and they remember, they recall within the memory how it was great, and that the fortunes, not just of individuals, not of spread people, individuals, heroes, but also of cities, often rise and fall very quickly. Yeah, it happens in life. We can find countries, they are very rich, to become catastrophic or misery. And the opposite, we find in history that places, people, very poor, nothing, unknown, unmentioned, suddenly they are what? They are great. And this is the nature of life. Yeah, it happens. It happens. Now we go with another idea, another point, but now we talk about what about the play as a summary. Summary of the play, and also you can see that it is the plot of the play, Oedipus the King. Still, we are talking about Oedipus the King, the play, not the character, because the sort of writing is what is italics. The story of the play starts with Oedipus, who is ruling Thebes. Oedipus, the king of what? Of Thebes. He sends his brother-in-law, Creon, to Delphi, another city, ancient town, to seek assistance from the oracle about the plague. Plague like Corona, COVID-19. It is a plague, or it was a plague, alhamdulillah. Now it's much, much better than we had previous years ago, just years, 2 or 3 years only. The process of plague can be stuck to Corona or COVID-19. They had a plague at that time, but this plague is religious more than health or connected with health. About the plague ravaging the city, destroying or vanishing the city. The Thespians have been gathering at the gate of the palace to make the king aware of his responsibility. People are gathering at his gates, in the gate of the palace, telling the king that there is a problem, and this problem should be solved by the intervention of the king, because he is the king, he is the responsible, to help his people. Creon soon returns with a riddle. Here is the beginning of the plot. The beginning of the plot. The riddle that there is some religious pollution, religious pollution in the city. And what we need to understand about pollution. Pollution is like تلوث. Pollution يقصد بها تلوث. But here, as we say, it is religious pollution. In this case, we have to change the meaning from تلوث into تدنس أو تدنيس. Pollution in the city, cleansing of which can make the city rid of this plague, which is linked to the murder of a former king. Laius. What we know until now about this one, the problem is killing what? Laius, the king. Who killed it? Who killed him? Sorry, who killed him? Nobody knows, and people they want to know. And as the plot tells, Oedipus he himself killed this Laius, the king. And what is the relationship between the two? As we discover, Laius is the father of Oedipus. Oedipus is the son of Laius. But both of them, they don't know each other. After reading the story, you will realize that. Okay? Now, we realize that King Laius is killed. Upon knowing this, Oedipus vows. Here is the start of what of the problem. And what kind of problem? Of the action. Oedipus vows, yuxim yonder, to fulfill his duty and exact the revenge and end the plague. He will do his duties. Until now, he doesn't know what is the problem about. The center idea of the problem, as we mentioned, religious pollution by killing the king Laius. He has no idea. Before searching for the answers, to end the plague, the story goes on like this. To what? To discover, to reveal, to tell. When Oedipus enters the city, Thebes, and saves everyone from Sphinx, from this creature, Sphinx, to that the people request him to take over the crown, to become what? To become the king, and marry their queen, Jocasta. The reason Oedipus left his hometown and came to Thebes because in search of answers regarding his birth, parents, and the ill prophecy associated with this, leading to the abandonment of him while he was still an infant. Here is the center of the story. Here is the center of the story. Who is Jocasta? His mother. And she will become his what? His wife. He left his living city, searching for what? For the ill prophecy. It is a prophecy, but this prophecy is ill. It means not disease, is what is catastrophic, associated with this leading to the abandonment of him while he was still an infant. What we know about that, just to let you get grasp. When he was born, yeah. Someone told the queen and the king that an infant boy will be a reason of a catastrophe for this crown, for the king Laius, for the queen Jocasta, and this child will kill the father. So it is what? A prophecy even before his birth. And when this boy was born, the prophecy came to the mind of the mother of Jocasta. What did she do? She sent the boy. She could not kill her son, her infant. A mother cannot kill. And she gave it to, and when we say it, because still until now he is what? He is a very insensitive person. giving it to a god, one of the gods, to take him away of the city of Thebes, that he can grow out the city. Then nobody knows about him. The prophecy will be vanished, will be not fulfilled. And this is the purpose of the lady. Was it as she expected to happen? Let's say the boy taken and given to another shepherd. From a shepherd, I mean, by chance he became in a palace, in a ruling country or city different than Thebes. Later on, after years, he is grown up person. He realized that he is not the real son of the king and the queen of that place he lived in. And he wanted to know his family, and he left his, not birth, his growing place, searching for reality, searching for truth. Okay, who is he? And he's coming back. In the jungle, he met King Lois with his court and courts within a battle by a sort of another. We will read about it. There is a challenge between the king and Oedipus. Oedipus killed the king, killed his father, but he has no idea who is he. What is the relationship between them is not clear. Even the king Laius has no idea that this person is his son. And the story goes like that. While looking for the truth about the person associated with King Laius' murder, soon Oedipus faces Tiresias. Tiresias, like a blind person, he's called like a prophet person. Tiresias the blind prophet to whom he has called for assistance to find out the murderer, to discover the murderer. And Tiresias, he knows about this prophecy because he is a prophet, but in fact a secular prophet, not real prophet, just as it is in the myth and mythological story. When Tiresias sees Oedipus, he refuses to answer his question, knowing that he is himself the person in the center, the pivotal person, to answer his questions, and advises him to break his vow about his responsibility, because he realizes that he himself, the person in danger. Cocksure, overconfident about his sincerity. So Oedipus is sincere. Yes, Oedipus is sincere. Sincerity and loyalty to the city and the public, because until now he has no idea what is the hidden meaning of the action. He refuses the advice of Tiresias. Oedipus fumes and berates Tiresias. He swears against Tiresias for his being cruel and senseless, and further goes on insulting him, to insult that he was talentless too. Oedipus, with spirit. Yes, في صوت يا ريم إن شاء الله فيه. He thinks that this prophet is a fake, it's not real, because he refused to tell him about his desire. He refused to tell him about his wish a way of help and start to what? To insult him by hard, bad words. However, when the situation spirals out of control, Tiresias still refuses to respond to his fury and finally breaks his silence, saying, who is talking now? Breaks his silence, saying, Oedipus is the filth that the city needs to cleanse. The problem is in Oedipus. The problem is Oedipus himself. Who said that? Tiresias, the blind prophet, which means that Oedipus has killed King Laius, has killed his father unknowingly, and he doesn't know. Oedipus has killed Laius, seeing himself coming clean of his accusation. Oedipus accuses Tiresias of plotting with Creon to orchestrate or to organize his overthrow. Until now, he doesn't know that he is the killer, and he refuses to accept it, saying that he has done nothing, and it is a conspiracy. The way no more than conspiracy between Creon, the brother-in-law, and this Tiresias, the blind prophet. I mean, here is the idea, according to whom? According to Oedipus, thinking that they want to get rid of him to rule the city or to rule the kingdom or the empire. However, the arguments become too hot. Now, clues from the climax. Becoming clues from the climax. You remember climax in the plot, what we mentioned, now we apply it. The argument, the action the action becomes, the arguments become too hot to be cooled down by Jocasta, by the mother queen, the mother queen, yes, who until now doesn't know the pact, doesn't know, she knows the prophecy, but she doesn't know that Oedipus is her son who became her husband, who immediately appears on the scene and advises patience to Oedipus. O my king, O my husband, don't listen to such events. Calm down, be quiet, things will be solved. Don't worry. Yet, Oedipus makes fun of the blindness of the soothsayer Tiresias. Say he is a fake prophet as we mentioned, because he does not believe in him, that he did not respond well to his wishes, at which he alleges that Oedipus is blind rather than he. Now we can say that Tiresias is blind, but he can say by the heart. إنها لا تعمى الأبصار ولكن تعمى القلوب التي في الصدور. Here is the idea. And Oedipus can see, he watches through his eyes. But he cannot see, he cannot perceive the wisdom, the hidden concept, the hidden meaning in the situation. And so Oedipus is blind rather than he means Tiresias. Tiresias, however, does not leave Oedipus until he has discloses everything about him, that he is the native of Thebes, until he realized وعرف أنه من إيش؟ ابن ثيبس الشخص المطلوب. The native of Thebes, the murderer of his father, and the husband of his mother, and brother of his children. Now there are children from Locusta by him. He is a brother and he is a father at the same time. a brother of two children, two sisters, and the father of them, because they came from the same source from Jocasta. Here is what the end of the climax, reaching the climax of the plot. Up, up, up. After that, things will go down. Okay. As soon as Creon approaches, the king Oedipus alleges his treachery and demands his removal from the scene, at which the chorus appears to advise him resistance. As we mentioned, the role of the chorus is to give more ideas to the audience, more than just acting in the play. Giving ideas, showing the hidden things to the audience. Sometimes they participate in the action of the play as character. So again, Jocasta, the wife of Oedipus and also the wife of the previous king Laius, also intervenes to save Creon, alleging that the prophets don't predict things accurately. Just she needs to mild the situation, make the situation what quite cool, not warm, not hot, to create problems. She relates the story of her former husband, King Laius, and states that the robbers, rather than his son, killed him on the crossroad when coming from Delphi. But it is not true. Okay? King Laius, not killed by the robbers. He was killed by what? By his son when he coming back from Delphi, by Oedipus himself. When Oedipus hears about this murder at the crossroad, he senses something suspicious. He starts to realize himself and asks Jocasta about the surviving servant, who is immediately called to verify the claim, asking people to come and to tell what do they know about the situation. Jocasta becomes much more flabbergasted, shocked at this haste of Oedipus to find the truth after he relates his own. After telling his own, he wants to know more about. About the story of hearing somebody calling him not the son of his father, King Polius, and Queen Merope, and in the city he lived and grown up, telling that he is another son, a son of someone else, at which he leaves for Delphi to know the truth and kills the old man on the way. He killed the old man on the way, his father. He then tells her that the person was similar to what Jocasta tells him, though the discrepancy lies in one or several robbers which only the witness could verify, could make sure. Meanwhile, a messenger arrives from Corinth, a city, a place, with the news about the demise of his father and the revelation that he has not been his real son. However, he also discloses that he got him from another shepherd. Yes, now the link to become clearer. He was taken from a shepherd on Mount Cithaeron, at which Oedipus falls upon the path of seeking the shepherd to know his reality. The shepherd's man was one of the workers of King Laius, who received the baby Oedipus from Jocasta, since he had bring threat to the life of his father and bears children with his own mother. You realize now? He was taken away since he was infant and to be grown in a far place. Okay, and if he grown up in a far place, that will make the prophecy untrue, and nothing will happen from his side. Disgusted with the prophecy, Jocasta wanted the child killed, but the shepherd felt that if the baby grow in a different city, here is the situation, here is the link. If the baby grow in a different city, wouldn't bring any threat to the parents, hands over the baby to the messenger. Sensing, understanding, realizing the issue of complicated further, Jocasta tries to put a stop on that, but Oedipus doesn't stop and moves to what? To realize, to understand the truth. He wants to know the truth. He insists to know the truth. And again, all these events goes back to the carefulness, skillfulness, intellectuality, ingenuity of Sophocles, the writer, the dramatist. We should not forget that. When the shepherd arrives, Oedipus falls upon him. Come, quick and tell. Come, tell us what you know. And tell him with his questions and threatens him with what? With life, if he doesn't disclose the reality, at which he tells him the secret of the child. When Jocasta flees from the scene and hangs herself, realizing, understanding that Oedipus is her son, her infant, she gave it to the god, and this god take him away, live as a shepherd with an imagined father. Okay, not real father. Oedipus seeing reality staring in the face. And here we reach the end of climax. What comes after is what is getting down, falling down. He curses himself and his fate, and then blinds himself. You remember what we have mentioned about the blind man, the prophet blind, that the prophet blind without eyes he can see through his heart. And Oedipus with his eyes cannot see deeply with the mind and with the heart. So as a result, to punish himself and to fulfill his vow, and نذر على نفسه, he what? Blinds himself with the pins, okay, of his dress, on his dress or on her dress. On her dress, it means on the dress of the wife. While the chorus finds itself at crossroad, realizing the fact, expressing the only lamentation at his fall, at the fall of home of Oedipus. After this tragic incident, Oedipus begs his brother-in-law after realizing, and now he begs Creon to exile him instead of he himself wanted to exile Creon, but no, he asked Creon to exile him to fulfill the vow, and hands over the responsibility of his two daughters and sisters at the same time on him to Creon, so that Creon to become the king and to be the responsible for what? For taking care of the daughters. The first king Laius was killed. The queen Jocasta and the wife of the two kings hanged herself. Oedipus, the king, the killer of the father, and the son, the husband, now he blinds himself and he wants to be exiled as a sort of punishment. The trustworthy person, Creon, should take the responsibility. The chorus then laments the states, and nobody should be considered lucky or happy unless he is dead. Yeah. From all of them, nothing to relieve except by death. Okay, according to the myth, according to the myth, no rest until or unless death takes him or her. Okay, here is the idea. The king, the first king Laius was killed. He was comfortable. And the mother, Lucasta, the queen, will be in torture, but she saved herself by what? By hanging. Again, saved herself. Mythology again, say according to the story, but not as reality. Yeah, because I mean, those people, they doesn't know, according to the story, they doesn't know that there is a real life after death. Real life, either in paradise or in hell. Okay? Either in paradise or in hell. So a person should not get any sort of harm to himself. Whatever a problem is, to leave it on the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here, as we Muslim, we believe in that. Okay? So, the story ends with a moral that no matter how happy and successful one could look in one's life, they will always be what? Played by fate. Yeah, fate is playing with a good destiny for them all. Now here what we have. We have wisdoms reflecting the play. Okay, before ending the plot. After reaching the climax, we are going what? Going down to relieve ourselves. At the beginning of the story, everyone wants to be like Oedipus, the king, the killer of what? Of the settings, الوحش أو أبو الهول, and he is the man of everyone's dreams. But eventually, no one would even dare to trade place with him, in spite of how successful he is. Here is the end, I think, end of what? Of the plot. You remember Garun? Garun, the Jewish, that the Jewish people, they said, okay, we hope that we have like Garun. He is a fortunate one. He is a fortunate. He is a very lucky. With his pride, with his prejudice against Musa and supporting Pharaoh, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay, what? Hides Garun and his palace and his wealth and riches, okay, into the sea or the river under the ground. And the idea is that those people who said, oh, Garun is a lucky person, we hope that we have something like him. After realizing his catastrophic elements, that he was punished, he was not really lucky. And he said, no, alhamdulillah, that we are not like him. Okay, we are saved now. We are not like him, we are saved. The situation is very similar to this one. That people at the beginning, they look at Oedipus, that he's a great man, lucky, we hope to be like him, and we hope to imitate him, and he is our sample. And after realizing that he is what? He is the ill-fated person, to be the cause of all the problems, of all this, what we call religious pollution. They did not want to be like him. Here we have a picture. You can find it on the websites of literature, of drama. Okay. Find Laius, the father king, Jocasta, the queen and the mother, the wife and the husband, yes, wife and mother, Oedipus, okay, and the blind prophet, and there is no blind prophet in our reality, just like imagination. Those are the witnesses beside that. major themes in Oedipus the King. Major themes in Oedipus the King. We stop here and to make it the beginning of the coming class, inshallah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, with help, support, and health. Recording will be stopped. If you have any question, I will be happy to share with you, to listen to you, and make things easy, okay, and in a good way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.